Okay, this is the conic section test review, and I'm looking at problems numbers 7 and 8. So I'm going to start with number 7, and you really have to read what it says. It says that the center is -4, 0, so I know that, and it tells me it's a hyperbola. It's hyperbola. So I know that it's going to be two fractions, negative in between, and it's going to be equal to 1. But here's the thing. You have to figure out which is positive. Is it the x squared or the y squared? So you do need to figure that out first. And then you can go through and put the x and the y with this center. So look at the foci. It says that the foci are 4, 0 and -12, 0. Look at the value that changed. X changed. That means that x is more important because when we look at the foci, foci go in the direction of the curves of the hyperbola. So because the x changed, that means x is positive. So x squared is our positive. And I'm allowed to do that because it's the foci. So x first and then the y. You look up here, it's +4 then, and then the y with the 0. And you can just write this part as y squared if you want. Now, we need to figure out what a squared and b squared are. So we're going to use the foci up here. This would be c. So we need to think about if my center is at -4. So my center was at -4. I went from -4 to 4. What is that difference? How far did I move? 8. If I go from -4 to -12, I go -8. So I've gone up and down 8 spots. Or excuse me, I should say left, right. 8 spots. That means that my C value is 8. So look back at that again. -4 to 4 is 8 spots. -4 to -12 is 8 as well. And it should be the same number always. So C squared equals 64. To find the foci of a hyperbola, it's C squared equals A squared plus B squared. We know C, we just said it, 64. They gave you A. So if you look right here, this is A. So A squared is 32. We need to figure out what B squared is. Quick subtraction, B squared is 32 as well. This came from the fact that they told us A is the square root of 32, so that's A squared. And then this 32 came from our foci down here. So that's the equation of my hyperbola. Number 8. We have a center. The center is -3, 2. It's hyperbole again, so we have to figure out which comes first, the x or the y. So then we look at the vertices. These are the vertices. You're asking yourself always what's changing, what moved. The y position moved. That means y squared is positive. Because if the y is changing, that means from the center I'm going up and I'm going down. It's definitely equal to 1, so make sure you set that up. Y is going to be first, then x. Now take your center and be careful. Make sure x and y go with the appropriate numbers. So the 3 is with the x, the 2 is with the y. Okay, to find your a squared and your b squared. Remember that a here is your up-down movement. How far am I going up or down? So if I started at the number 2 in my center, so you can even kind of plot it here. Think if I was at 2 and I went to 4, how many spots did I move? Well, I went up 2. If I was at 2 at my center and I went to 0, I went down 2. So my A is plus or minus 2. Square it, and we're going to put a 4 there. Covertices. 0, 2, -6, 2. Notice the y didn't change. This tells you x is less important because it's in the covertices. And then you look at your center. My center was at -3. So to go from -3 to 0, I added 3 spots. I've shifted 3. To go from -3 to -6, I shifted -3. So my B is plus or minus 3. The numbers change by 3 spots both times. So we put a 9 under the X because I've gone left and right 3.